There is nothing worse than being stood up by a model for a photo shoot, especially when they're meant to be here now. Let's talk about it. So I'm sitting at the railway station waiting for my model to arrive, and she sends me a message, "Oh, I can't make it. Can we just reschedule?" Now, she was meant to be here 10 minutes ago, and she messages me basically now to let me know that she can't do the shoot. A shoot that we had organised 3 weeks ago. A shoot that we had chosen a date to work in with her time and my time to make sure it can be done to suit us both, chose the day, chose the location, and now she's not coming. There is nothing more frustrating for a photographer working with anybody than that. And the reason why it's so annoying is because I've given up my day, or at least half of it, to come here, work with this particular model and do a shoot, and now of course I've got half a day free. Half a day where I could have booked extra work, I could have actually been out there making money through my business, and now I just have to do something else. Now, being stood up sucks balls, and if it hasn't happened to you, unfortunately at some stage in your photography career as you're building up, it's going to happen. Especially if you're working with models where you're not paying them and they're not paying you, you're doing it to get experience, you're doing it to give them experience, you're doing it to build up a good portfolio together, it's going to happen. And it sucks. But I'm not defeated, so let's go for a drive and I'll talk to you about how you can handle these situations in the future, how to handle your model, and hopefully how to make sure these situations don't happen very often in the future. So one of the ways that you can avoid being stood up is to work with somebody that you have already done a shoot with in the past. That way you already know each other, you know that you can rely upon each other, and the chances of them cancelling on you are slimmer than somebody that you've never met before. Now, of course, emergencies do happen, that's fine, but if you've worked with somebody before, it's unlikely that they'll cancel just because they feel like cancelling, because they've worked with you, they enjoy working with you, they love your work, and they just genuinely want to work with you again. Now, you might be wondering, how do you now handle the situation with your model now that that person has stood you up? Well, it's very important to make sure that they understand your value, your time. You've given up a day, half a day, or a few hours to work with them for free, more than likely, and of course, so have they. So they need to respect the fact that you have now lost that time where you could have done paid work or something else. So are you just going to apologize and say to them, look, it's fine, we'll just make another time when you're free? I wouldn't, and I'll explain why. So you need to think of it like this. If you were going on a date with somebody, would you want to see them again and again if they kept standing you up all the time saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, but my cat was hungry. Oh, I'm sorry, there was a family emergency. Oh, I'm sorry, but a friend of mine called me and I was stuck on the phone and it was just really important." After a while, you wouldn't bother going on that date. Well, it's the same thing with working with a model. If the excuse is a legitimate one, like there was an absolute emergency or their car broke down or there was some delay, fine, you accept it, you graciously make another time with them and you move on to that particular day with that person. But if they have, for lack of a better term, screwed you around, don't jump into things too soon. Now, definitely give them a second chance, but make them aware that you have given up your time. Make sure that you take control of the situation. Don't be an arsehole about it. Don't say to them, no, screw you, I'm not going to work with you again, I'm going to tell all the other photographers all about you and how unreliable you are, because that will get you nowhere. However, it's also good practice just to keep what's happened in mind, because if it hasn't been an emergency, if they generally just have wanted to stay in bed and not care about your time at all, then remember the name, remember the model, because if it happens again when you set up another shoot, well, 2 strikes, you're out. I know they say 3 strikes, but you know what? Your time is valuable. As photographers, you need to value your time. You have invested hundreds or thousands of dollars into equipment, cameras, lenses, lighting, everything else like that. You're using your petrol, you're using your editing time. If people aren't willing to respect that, then you shouldn't be working with them. You know, it really is such a shame that we didn't shoot today because it is the most amazing day. Their loss. By the way, just in case you're wondering, When I'm making videos by myself, I suck at B-roll, so sorry.